I'm very glad for the auspices of the Berkeley campus for my initiative of a workshop that will coincide with a piece of research. And I am very grateful to Laura Perez for being the person who has initiated this event. The main idea is to get some material together as a basis for reflection on the highest form of expression of each one of the 27 character types that derive from the application of the Enneagram to personality. Much has been said about people being higher or lower representatives, being more developed, less developed, but this is not really information based on research, but rather arbitrary distinctions based on the sense of ordinary words. It's very easy to say a 7 is better 7 if he's very enthusiastic. But anybody who knows more deeply what a 7 is like, say a sexual 7 is enthusiastic to the extent that this is an enthusiastic kind of ego. Evolution of a 7 makes a person less enthusiastic, less of a dreamer, less of an idealist, less of one who feeds on imagination, less maniac. So sometimes assumptions about characters are not the same thing that would derive from a serious study. Now, I'm not pretending to propose a comparison between the villains of history and the heroes of history. I'm just proposing to study the higher expression, the best known exemplars of every one of the 27 character types, to have a basis on which to reflect about such characteristics of what we might say is awakening or transformation or enlightenment. In Tibetan Buddhism, Buddhas are presented as being colored. There's a yellow Buddha, a blue Buddha, a green Buddha, depending on what qualities of enlightenment are expressed. And similarly, we can of course conceive that for every kind of personality there will be a somewhat different form of expression of this personality when the person has fully developed. So if we have a set of 27 biographies in which there is enough reflection, enough information and reflection concerning what was childhood like, what has changed through life, what has developed in the life of each person that is new, and biographies are examined to find out what is new that is universal, just like such as love or serenity, and what is new in each person that is something like an antidote, something like a personal trait that seems to be the contrary of the pathology that has been overcome. This will be enough to have much to say. So I think of it as more as food for thought, as definitive conclusions, a basis for a new departure, a basis for further study of biographies, perhaps not of the ultimate exemplars. I think this is practically everything that I need to say now. I have announced it as a meeting, a discussion of higher exemplars. I'm using the word sometimes saints, sometimes sages, sometimes geniuses. These are not the same thing, but they're related. Perhaps if we studied only saints, we would get a kind of high development that is a bit artificial, created by situations such as celibacy, the elimination of the complications of family life and sexuality. Is this the fullness of a person, or is it a special phenomenon of a spiritual opening that is favored by the renunciation of other aspects of life, as when a plant is, how do you call it, poda, you cut away some roses to get other roses thrive. So the phenomenon of sainthood in the Christian tradition is not necessarily the same kind of flower that grows from the artistic development. But we cannot say that artists such as Dante or Milton or Van Gogh or Bach were people who did not follow a path through their own artistic process and the process of expression. The fruit may be different, so we will not be so particular as to focus on saints or on geniuses or on sages, but take for granted that the phenomenon of genius is not the same as talent. Talent is an instrumental facility. Genius has to do with finding oneself, to finding an inner source of inspiration that is of a spiritual nature. I don't think I have anything else to explain. If many people contribute to this study, we'll have a lot of redundancy and richness of group discussions. The only concern I would have if we did this exclusively on an analytical, intellectual, verbal level is that it might be a bit boring. Too much dedication to words for a full day or for 3 full days would require a kind of attention that is a bit anti-natural. It's best to have a full day and to have a more embodied experience of character contemplation. I think this kind of work goes well with drama, with the attempt to dramatize characters, to give characters one's own voice, one's own gestures. And people who are the experts in theater direction know how to do this in a way that is remarkably conducive to self-awareness. There's more I could say about this, but for now, I'll just say that our activity will be partly analytical and partly dramatic, and that we will also document this because it can be anticipated that a good video with the scenes that we are able to produce that really reflect an understanding of the characters, an ability and an inner freedom to step into their skin, will be of value both as for teaching and for probably general interest. That's all.